What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a special edition of the Occupy Fantasy Podcast. Welcome, I'm Brian Jester. And today we are interviewing a longtime Occupy Fantasy member. You may know him in Discord as Clockwork. You may have seen him on DraftKings as chichi84nc. He recently finished fourth in the DraftKings Fantasy Basketball World Championship for $250,000. So we had to talk to him. Clockwork, what's up, bro? How you feeling?
What's going on, Brian? I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good.
I'm sure you are. Has it set in yet?
Um, I guess it has. I'm kind of one of those people where I live in the moment, so you know, I guess it has. I guess it has.
All right, man. So we got to talk about this because this is a huge score at a live final, and I know our members and our viewers they love hearing about the average person winning these big contests, what their thought process was, how they celebrated, what their plans are, and if they have any tips for other people out there listening. So, Clockwork, you and I, we actually met in person at the DraftKings MMA live final last
Yep,
August. Was that your first live final?
yep. It was. It was my very first one.
How was that
Very first
experience for
one.
you?
I enjoyed it. Because usually most of the time I'm just grinding DFS and I might go to the gym, hang out with my daughter. So that experience, I got to go to Dallas and I love UFC. We both do, so we got to watch the fight in person. And I don't think I had my expectations were that high. I was just happy that I qualified, and I can't remember where I finished. But once I got there and it was over, I wasn't satisfied with where I finished. So it just made me go a little bit harder in the DFS streets.
So you and me both. We're not happy with where we finished in that contest,
Yeah.
but the live final is something we always talk about, where it's really tough to get to. It can be a huge bankroll drainer, but the experience itself is just unbelievable. Now, this DraftKings NBA live final that you just finished fourth in, it's basically a $50,000 ticket, which is really
Yeah.
hard for anyone to win outside of monster bankrolls. So was that a goal for you going into this NBA season to try to qualify for a live final? And if so, how often were you attempting to qualify?
No, actually, it wasn't. I enjoy NBA and I play it pretty frequently as NBA, NFL, and MMA. So I have been playing and I have been doing pretty good in the GPP tournaments. And so this particular night, I decided to play. I played maybe two entries. They were $140 each, and I think the field was probably out of I want to say 100 or 200. It wasn't that big, but one of my entries actually got first, and I woke up that morning and saw the ticket there, and I was just like, wow. So now I didn't plan for it, but it turned out well for me.
Was there anything in particular about that slate that you decided, hey, I'm going to take a couple of shots here, or was it just you saw it in the lobby, you saw it wasn't filling, and you jumped on it?
No, I think maybe probably 2 weeks prior before, maybe about a month, I had been really like honing in on roster construction on NBA. And I don't think it was anything particular about that one, but I had been really honed in on NBA. So I had been playing and playing, and I had been liking my results. So I saw those $140 entry in my bankroll. It was pretty decent. So I was like, let me throw two of those in. I think that was the max entry for it. So I put two in, and I came out with one ticket.
It might have the highest ROI of any live final qualifier ever, right? Just throwing two
Yeah,
throwing two $240 entries, you get back the fifty
yeah,
thousand dollar ticket, and you turn it
yeah.
into fourth place. So we'll save the championship slate and the sweat here for a little bit later. But this particular experience, you got to go out to Denver. What was the itinerary like, and what were the festivities for this NBA live final?
Okay, so I went out there. I actually learned from you because I remember when we were in Dallas, you told me you had got out there a day early. So I booked my tickets. I actually took my daughter. She's 5, so it was her first time ever getting on a plane, and her mom. And so we went down there Thursday evening. We got there, so I just had to book the room. I stayed in the same hotel that DraftKings had got for, so I just booked the extra night that Thursday night, and Friday. Then I just switched rooms into the room that DraftKings had got for us. So the itinerary, let me see. Friday, I think that's when everybody was supposed to check in. They had this hotel that was like right across from Coors Field,
Mm.
so you could actually see the stadium. And what floor? I think we're on the 11th floor or something like that. So yeah, it was a nice view. I think they had like a little social thing at a bar in the same hotel that night. I actually didn't go to that. I didn't. I was kind of, I was kind of in like research mode, so I really didn't even do anything until after the final. And so was it the final was on Saturday. Saturday morning they had a brunch for us. So I went down to the brunch, got my food, went back upstairs, started doing some more research, and then Saturday evening, that was when the slate took place.
Nice. So you were avoiding everybody. You weren't trying to
Yeah,
scope out the competition. You weren't trying to
nope,
get friendly. Nope.
nope, nope. I was just chilling with my family, just chilling with them. Yeah, we were just chilling. Think we got some because the hotel they had us by it was pretty much every food place was in walking distance. So we went and got some food and went back to the room.
Nice, nice. Did you recognize
Yeah.
anybody, or did you see any names that you knew while you were
Oh
before the
yeah,
slate?
I recognize some people from some of the other major providers. Yes, I saw some faces that I've actually seen on like on the internet when they do content and stuff like that. So yeah, I noticed some people.
But kept a low profile. Said I'm gonna go back to my
Yeah.
room,
Yep.
do my
Yeah.
research. So all right.
Oh,
So
shit.
so what was your mindset like going into this? And what was your goal, right? If someone told you clockwork on Friday, like what would be a realistic goal for you to finish in this contest? And then
Um,
how were you feeling about the whole thing?
well, okay, so I think mean cash was like 15,000. So I saw that. I said, worst case scenario, free trip, 15,000. Like, okay, and it's not that bad. Um, so I think that's all I thought. But once I started doing my research and building and everything, I was like, no, I'm going for first.
There you go.
I'm going for first. Yeah, yeah. Because when I was building my lineup, I was like, should I play it safe or no? I played it somewhat safe, but then I did one thing that I knew was risky. But I was like, if I want to get first, then I got to do it.
For sure, because this is, I mean, you have to figure, right? Like, you have your own process for a typical NBA slate, and you can pick and choose your opponents. You can pick which contest you play. Here in this one, you only have one entry. You can't add any more
Mm-hmm.
entries. You're playing against in a field of 100 of the best NBA DFS players out there.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, unlike every other NBA slate, there's no late swap, which I imagine was a big
Yeah.
factor in
Oh
your
yeah.
decision too.
That was crazy because that morning or afternoon, I believe it was like I remember the Indiana Pacers were on the slate and they kept coming out with news. So like Halliburton was out. I think Turner might have been out, and then Kyrie Irving he had something going on, so he was out. So it was like, oh man, all right. So that's gonna condense ownership. I knew that was gonna condense ownership. So I pretty much have like Twitter notifications on my phone at all times. So that morning I remember being a little stressed about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like locking into your lineup. I mean, these other sports like the MMA live finals, like you can build your
Yeah,
lineup. You don't have to worry about anything,
yeah,
right? Here, it's
yeah,
like I think I'm good. Nope, here's another injury. Nope, here's another
yep,
news point. So, so,
yep.
so what were those big decision points in your lineup once you get closer to lock? What was the big decisions you had to make?
Oh, so the Celtics were playing Atlanta, and I felt like that was going to be a great game environment. It was going to be real high scoring, and Tatum was going to be highly owned. So basically, what I did too is um, I subscribed to a few of the major content people in this space to get the ownership. So I wanted to know where the ownership was going to be because I'm like this contest is really important. I want to know where everybody's ownership is going to be. So I knew Tatum was going to be really really chalk. So I was like, but that's a really good play. And then usually you don't want to have like a Tatum and a Jalen Brown. You don't want to have them in the same lineup because it's going if you're expecting one to have a high ceiling, then you don't want to have the other guy. So, but it was 100 lineups, and I thought the game was going to be it was going to be a great scoring game. So I was like, I'm gonna put Jalen Brown and Tatum in my lineup, and they actually both did. Jalen Brown didn't do as good as I would have liked, but he did decently. And of course, Stephen Curry, he was at the top of the OF model, so I was like, I got to play him. and and then I let the optimizers do the rest. Yeah, I let the optimizer do the rest.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So
Yeah,
obviously all of us in Discord and the community were rooting for you, and I'm living vicariously through you. So I'm checking the contest every few minutes, and you
yeah,
were right from the top, right, at least from the start of the slate. And every time, let me
yeah,
20 minutes later, let me check. Oh, he's still in top five. He's
yeah.
still top 10. And you figure top 10 at this point is still 50K plus, right? So at what point did you
Yeah.
realize, all right, we got a shot here. We got a shot for some big cash.
So when it first started, like you said, I was at the very top. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm talking to my daughter's mom. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And she's like, she keeps telling me, she's like, close your phone. Like, don't look at it. Like, there's nothing you can do right
It's
now. And
true.
I'm like, yeah, yeah, I hear you. So I'm still looking at it. And eventually like something happened where my lineup just kept going down. And I was going down. So I was like, oh man. And I think the Golden State game was on. That was the last game of the night. And so Steph Curry, he started out really, really slow. So I actually stopped watching the game, and we started watching Tiger King because I never seen it. And my daughter's mom was like, "Let's watch Tiger King." So we were just watching
That's real
in the
quick. That's
room
that's
watching
that's how
Tiger.
you know the slate has gotten away from you when you're like, you know what?
Yeah,
It's the time. It's time to throw on some
yeah,
Netflix.
yeah. Yeah, so we were watching, but so we were in the bedroom watching that, but I had the game on in the living room, and so I think what quarter was it? I think it was around the fourth. I started hearing the game getting closer because I think Golden State was down for a while in the game, and started hearing the announcer say "bang, bang," and I'm like, "Hold on, this sounds like must be a good game."
Turn this TV down for a sec.
Yeah, yeah. So she's like, don't watch. There's nothing you can do right now." And I was like, "Nah, I think I need to look and see what's going on. I think the game is about to go to overtime." And so me and my daughter, we walk out in the living room. She's excited because she doesn't really know what's going on. But I'm like, every
Right.
time Steph Curry we hit a three, I'm like, yes. And she was like, who's going for the white team? I'm like, yeah, we're going for the white team. So she's going crazy. Then the game goes to overtime, and that's when I go back and look at my lineup to see where I'm at. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm coming up. Like so, but I looked and saw the guy in first place. He had Curry also, and
Right.
what kind of pissed me off was like I was going to put more players from that game, but I didn't. I was thinking about playing Drew Holiday also, and I'm like, man, I was like, if I had played Drew Holiday and Curry, I probably could have gotten first.
Right. But the overtime itself was necessary because you moved up
Yeah,
once overtime hit up all the way up until
hmm,
fourth, and you were only another
yeah,
basically statistic away from second.
yep. If it would have gone to second, the double overtime, I would have gotten second.
That's crazy. So all right, so that game ends. You look at your phone. You wait for some stat
Yeah,
corrections. You're in fourth
yeah.
place, 250K. What do you do to celebrate?
Well, at first I'm just standing there like, wow, I cannot believe. I can't believe this. Like I missed most of the game,
Right.
and I'm like, we were sitting here watching Tiger King, and I'm like, wow, it went really good. So my rep he called me, and he was like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in the room. He was like, you got four, and I'm like, I know. So he was like, you coming down or whatever? Because it was like right across from the hotel. It was like maybe a couple minutes. Once you walk out the front door, you're right there.
Right.
So
Just
he was
real,
like,
real,
man,
real quick for the uninitiated, your rep is
huh?
basically your player host. If you play a certain
Yeah,
amount of volume,
yes,
you're assigned a DraftKings rep, and they help you out with certain things, right?
exactly, exactly, yeah. So once you reach like diamond tier, I think that's what it is classified as now. Because they switched it up
Yep.
where it was based off of crowns. Now it's tiers. So I'm a diamond tier, I believe, and so yeah, I had my own personal rep. So he was basically like, "Come on, man, and drinks on me." And so I went there, and
Which, by the way, it should be the opposite. He should have been saying drinks are on
yeah,
you after that finish.
exactly, exactly. So I went down there, and they had like the trophy presentation. So the guy that got first, petty theft, they gave him the trophy, and so my name. I wish I was taking a picture because my name was on the screen that they had in the bar or whatever. And so he got the trophy or whatever, and my rep he just kept getting me drinks, and then that's when I actually met some of the other guys. I met toe tagging Tambo.
Hmm.
I think that's his name. His
Yep.
his DraftKings name. Yeah, I met him. Uh, what's that guy? Fourth and Schlong or third and Schlong, something like
Oh,
third
yep.
and something
Third and
crazy.
long. Yep.
Yeah, I met him. So my rep, he was introducing me to everybody. He just kept telling everybody he got four plays, and I'm looking like, man, like, bro, keep that down. You don't have to tell
I know.
everybody.
I know. It's like, hey, listen, hey, come on. It's not like you got the 250K in cash on you, but it's still
Yeah,
like, listen, let's
yeah,
let's keep that down.
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Because they were just like, congrats, congrats. And I was just like, man. So I got took a couple shots of tequila, drank some beer.
there you go,
And I hadn't drank in a long time, so I started feeling it. So I went back upstairs and laid it down for the night.
man. That's quite the way
Yeah,
to end it, bro. So, I mean, so
yeah.
you start meeting these people, right? And then
Hmm.
let's talk about the aftermath here because money aside, this is a
Hmm.
huge accomplishment. Like you've been playing DFS for
Yeah,
a while. What are your thoughts on finishing
yeah.
fourth in such a loaded field? Because you talk about first place, Travis Petty, who's
Hmm.
widely considered one of the best NBA DFS players. You talk about second place,
Yeah.
Raging Phillip, who has won this live final twice. You talk about Oxenduck, another
Wow.
fantastic DFS player. And these are the guys that you're mixing in with, that you're
Yeah,
finishing top for. So how do you feel about that?
man. I feel pretty good. I believe about 2 years ago I set the goal that I wanted to be among those guys. So I feel like I'm making strides toward it. I still feel like I'm a long way, but I think there's a chance now that I could actually get to that point. So that's 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 what I'm striving for, and it feels good to do something that makes me feel a little bit closer to that.
Yeah, I mean, you can always feel that way, right? You can always
Mhm.
build your process. Like, I feel like I'm one of the best, but until you get something like this, until you accomplish something
Mhm.
like this, that can make it seem a little more realistic. How long
Yeah.
have you been playing, and how long have you been a member of
Um.
Occupy?
I think I started off with like the season long leagues with like guys I went to college with, and so we started that in like 2014, and I think I got serious right after the pandemic because I started with Occupy during the pandemic with LOL, and so when sports came back, that's when I started learning more and more, and I started getting real serious about it. So what year was that? What year
20,
was it we started doing the LOL and the Korean baseball?
2020, forever
Yeah,
burned in in my memory.
yeah,
2020.
yeah, yeah. Those were some weird nights, man.
Yeah, it was.
Whew.
So sorry. So you've been playing seriously, let's say, for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
How do, how do you think your game has developed? Where do you think you've improved? What have you worked on? And what do you think your strength is as a DFS player? Because obviously we're up against guys who are really good at math, guys who build
Mhm,
simulations, players who are excellent at game theory, players who are good
mhm.
at the mental side of things. Where do you think your strength is?
I think my strength is probably slate selection, like knowing because I feel like my strength lies in game theory, but sometimes it's certain slates where game theory isn't probably the most optimal like way or strategy. So I think I kind of I kind of have like a sense of knowing like okay, this is a slate where the way that I play because I don't max enter most of the time,
Right.
and uh I feel like I have this sense of knowing a particular slate. Like if I lock a certain guy, this is a slate where if I'm locking somebody, is the outcome is going to be pretty good. So I would say that, and I also feel like one of my strengths is if I don't do good on a particular night, I flip the page pretty easily. And if I do good, I flip the page pretty easily also. So yeah, I guess stuff doesn't really. I don't really have too many highs and lows. I'm pretty even keel most of the time.
I mean, that's important, right? We obviously I talk about that on the
Yeah.
Emotional Bankroll podcast, but like being able to do
Yeah.
that, even when you're not a top player or you don't have a huge bankroll, still being able to do that is important. I think being able to select your slates properly, like you said, is
Mhm,
huge for everyone because
mhm,
I know we're recording this on MLB opening day, and a lot of people are fired up to start getting into
mhm.
contests. But it's a long season for all these sports, and
Yeah.
we're playing DFS every single day basically.
Yeah.
So being able to pick and choose is really important. So are there some days where you just don't play? You look at it, you're like, I'm not going to play, or maybe you play a little bit less.
It's rare, but yeah, that's what I do. It's days where I play a little bit less, but I'm pretty much playing every day. But some days I play a really a small amount, and so I really don't care what the outcome is. But then there's some days when I feel like really confident, and then I play heavy, and I'm invested in what the outcome is.
That makes sense. So, what would your advice be for someone who doesn't do this professionally? Let's say they're another Occupy Fantasy member, or they subscribe to other sites, or maybe they just do this on their own and they're just listening to this.
Mm.
And whether they're either looking to
Uh,
qualify for a live final or hit a big score, what would your advice be to them?
I would say you study basically whatever sport that you're playing. Study the contest. Study how your lineup did, what you did wrong. Study what the guys in top 10 did, um, and try and duplicate that over and over. Like whatever the process is, try and duplicate it over and over. Like maybe write down what like for me for basketball is like I have to remind myself, okay, I want to stay with a particular roster construction where I have in my utility spot. I may go strictly point guard and centers, and that's it. And so something like that depend. Sometimes that late news comes in, and you may forget that, but you kind of need to drill it over and over and over again, and like be repetitive with your process. I would say that's the most important thing in DFS.
That's really important. And I think it's a really good takeaway. I even do that myself sometimes, where I have notes that I've written
Mm-hmm.
down, and I've even bolded some
Mm-hmm.
notes. And there'll be some slates where I'm like,
Yeah,
I think I can get away from this, and I go back and my notes are
yeah,
bolded. It's like, nope, I can't
yeah,
do this. I gotta stick to this process.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy, man. So we'll talk about the money a little bit here. I know a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about it, but anything specific you're looking to purchase or already have purchased with this 250K?
I just relocated. So I was living about 3 hours away. I'm in North Carolina. I was living about 3 hours away from my daughter, so I relocated, and I'm living in the same city as her now.
Oh, that's great.
That yeah, that's pretty much all I know. The rest, I'm just gonna let it. I'm gonna let it sit. I'm as far as using it to play more. I'm probably gonna play the same amount. I was playing a pretty decent amount already, so I'm not gonna really have to touch that money. So yeah, I'm not. I'm kind of. I'm not as risky. I'm not trying to be as risky with that amount until I make another big hit. So yeah, I'm just gonna sit on it.
That's super sharp. That's smart because I know a lot of people
Yeah.
are let's take that 250K and put it right back into it. And I know a lot of guys
Mm-mm.
you met are probably hoping you would do the same thing and put
Nope.
that money into not gonna happen.
Nope. Not no. Nope.
Oh man.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, Clockwork, this was great. I'm super happy for you. Like I said, we met earlier, and you're an awesome person. And to see this happen to you is great. Honestly, the best thing is 250K is nice, but the ramifications of that, you get to live closer to your daughter. I mean, you can't really ask for a better outcome from this event.
Nope. Exactly. And I just want to thank you because I've learned a lot from you. Even your site occupied basically you kind of you teach people how to fish. You don't give them the fish like a lot of sites or a lot of players. That's another piece of advice that I would give the players. Like I see a lot of players they're so caught up with like the name of like who should I play, who's to play, this that. Like it's gonna be hard for you to win with that mindset. You kind of need to have a strategy. Like the plays, nobody knows this is like a sport or activity where there's a lot of variance. So somebody could tell you give you a play, and it may be successful one slate, but that process is only going to hinder you in the long run.
Exactly. Obviously, I mean, you see Discord sometimes, and many newer players are focused on who to play, and it may sound crazy to say that who you play isn't really that important, but obviously it's
Yeah.
important to an extent. But you have to have that overall hierarchical structure to really be successful in DFS. It sounds like
Hmm.
Clockwork really sounds like you're starting to nail that down. So I appreciate you sharing your story with us. Look forward to seeing more success from you in the future, and I'm sure people will have some questions for you. If you guys have questions for Clockwork, we're posting this obviously on YouTube and in our podcast channel. You can either reply here on YouTube if you're watching the video, or you can just join our Discord server, occupyfantasy.com/discord. You can ask some questions for Clockwork there. If you're listening to this in podcast form, make sure you subscribe in your favorite podcast app. We don't do a ton of podcasts often, but when we do, it's normally these celebratory member interviews or maybe some big events. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts. So for Clockwork, the 250K fourth place finisher in the DraftKings Fantasy Basketball World Championship, I'm Brian from Occupy Fantasy. Thank you for listening.